Benicio del Toro in this is
Magnificent! Magnificent!
God, I need to watch more of his movies. Hey there, cinephiles. Today I'm reviewing The Phoenician Scheme. This is Wes Anderson's latest film, and it follows a rich man who tries to restructure a deal with his business partners while also trying to reconnect with his daughter, who also happens to be a nun. It's been a while since I've been so excited to come home immediately and record a review for the film I just saw at a press screening. But my goodness, Wes Anderson is just one of my favorite filmmakers, and the feeling I have right now, I'm so hyped, and I want to rewatch this instantly. It's honestly a real blessing that I got to see this movie, but I have to wait so long to rewatch it, and this is one of the few movies that have come out this year that I've wanted to rewatch. Not just instantly, but in general. If you're not a fan of Wes Anderson's work, this is a lot more accessible than the last few films he's had, but this is still superb Wes Anderson. I know he's an acquired taste, but I do think that a lot of people who don't love his work will at least like this to some degree. And it's interesting because even though there are so many layers that one could get lost in his last couple of films, this one is much more through line, but there is still a lot of layers to look at. And this is definitely one of those that I really fully believe would benefit from a rewatch, just like his last few films. And speaking of his last few films, Asteroid City was Wes Anderson looking at himself inwardly as an artist, and The Phoenician Scheme is him looking inwardly as a parent and at the afterlife, which does make this one of his most personal works yet, and it's astounding. The themes in here that he tackles through religion and parenthood are just so well intertwined in here, and I am so glad that he was able to talk about these themes the way he did. Even though I do wish we got a little bit more of certain scenes that tackle these, I still do think as the package that we got right now, it's really mature, and it's just truly wonderful to see Wes Anderson just kind of continue to grow into themes like this and deliver them in such a way that is still a very funny movie. Some might get lost, sure, but again, that's why I think a rewatch of this film will truly benefit anyone. Shoot, there's even some stuff that I know I missed, and I am so excited to go back to and just enjoy the film even more for what it is and what it's giving us, and just the very internalized look and intimate look into how Wes Anderson thinks of the afterlife as well as his current life. I think it's very interesting in telling how Wes Anderson views himself as a parent right now, and how he might feel his mortality as a being just through this film alone. I've seen every Wes Anderson feature film, and just the maturity that is in here, especially tracking it through his entire filmography, yet still also continuing to develop his sense of style and refining it. It's truly impressive. My only flaws with the film were some of its pacing and just staying in some scenes too long and some scenes too short, but as an entire package, this is some of his truly most impressive work. It's a Wes Anderson film, so of course there is stellar production design, and just about every technical aspect is amazing. But in here you do see a lot of his pastels and colorful worlds just kind of taken aback, and he's able to make such a beautiful looking film in a lot of whites and grays, which again kind of play on the themes that he has currently, because that is how the characters are morally, especially the lead, but also just how he can kind of view the world with the themes at hand. The writing is especially top notch in here. It is so hilarious, and just the story it brings you on. I did hear some people not exactly love the story at my press screening, but I think the story at hand is very interesting, and I think will be appreciated the more we sit with it. And as for a lot of the comedy through the one-liners, I mean, I wrote down some of them. I don't want to share them here because I want you to go in blind, but there are so many that I loved in here. Overall, the acting is wonderful. Of course, Benicio del Toro is amazing in this. I'm so glad he had this performance in him. It's one of my favorites that I've seen from him so far. Granted, I haven't seen a lot of his work, but he's great in this. This is the first time I've seen Mia Pelton in a movie, and she is wonderful. She is perfectly suited for a Wes Anderson energy type of movie, and she just fits in here perfectly. Her and Benicio have wonderful chemistry as mother and daughter, especially in this type of film. It was great to see. As for Michael Cera, we finally got him with his perfect director, I'll put it that way. And overall too, this cast is just packed to the brim with Wes Anderson talent. This is basically Wes Anderson's endgame, and I know that's kind of being said about all of his last movies, but this genuinely has so many big names that are even just cameos, to the sense of where they're background actors in some scenes, and yet it works. It's kind of like finding Where's Waldo of past Wes Anderson stars, honestly. And the final technical aspect that I do want to touch on this movie is the wonderful score, especially that theme by Alexandre Desplat. He's just one of the more underrated composers working today. Not by Hollywood, because that man is working, but kind of by the people who enjoy film. No one really talks about him quite as much as we should. Oh man, overall, I really do love this movie. It just sucked me in from the get-go, and as soon as it ended, I wanted to buy a ticket to see it again. If you have the chance to watch this movie, please do as soon as possible. Even if you're not a Wes Anderson fan, I still do think this has enough for anyone to take from it, and for it to be meaningful. It may not be his magnum opus, but this is definitely his most intimate work outside of looking at himself creatively. Wes Anderson in this looks at himself as a parent and what he sees the afterlife to be, as well as is he even worthy of heaven, basically. It's such an interesting work from such an interesting filmmaker, and I am so glad that he made this movie, and this is honestly my favorite movie of the entire year so far, and it might take a lot to really dethrone this one. I give the Phoenician Scheme a 4.5 out of 5 stars. This is truly such an impressive feat from Wes Anderson. I am so glad he made this movie, and I cannot wait to watch this again and again. Immediately, this shoots up to be one of my favorite, even top 3 Wes Anderson movies. Also, shout out that basketball scene. Perfection. But alright, those are my thoughts on the Phoenician Scheme. Be sure to let me know what you think of it down in the comments below. As always, thank you guys for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Be sure to stay tuned for more Yeti Films content, and I'll watch you later.